Continuing now with our lead story, the interview with Donald Trump. With us here in New York City, Monica Crowley. From Washington, Kirsten Powers. Both are Fox News analysts. So did you get anything out of that interview, Powers?
Yeah, I did, actually. I think that to a certain extent you can see what his appeal is if you look at this interview, because he's somebody who isn't kowtowing to the sort of usual sacred cows in Washington. So take Club for Growth, for example. Most Republican candidates, in fact, I dare to say all Republican candidates, feel like they have to appease that group. Now, I will be interested to see what Club for Growth has to say about his claim that they basically wanted $1 million from him. I think they probably have a bigger issue with him saying that he's going to raise taxes, in particular on hedge fund people. But I think what he said was pretty common sense, frankly. You know, let's cut taxes for working people. Hedge fund people are going to have to pay a little bit more, but that's not something, typically speaking, that the Republican base wants to hear. So it's interesting that he is, you know, so that they find him so appealing.
You sound like you want one of Trump's hats, and you might even vote for him.
No, I'm just trying to be objective and fair and balanced.
Okay, but why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you vote for him then? If you admire his position on taxes, why wouldn't you vote for him?
Well, what I'm saying, I'm not so much saying that I admire it, though. It is something that one of the things
you just said it was common sense.
That resonates. It is common sense, but I think that's why a lot of people are drawn to him. But no, I have a lot of concerns about him, and I think that he says a lot of contradictory things. If you look at what he said about Planned Parenthood, that's a completely different tune that he was singing before, and he also attacked
but there's
Jeb
new
Bush.
videos now to support this barbarity that they're doing.
But what he basically attacked Jeb Bush for, you know, saying that he didn't think we needed to have health care subsidies, and then he's saying he would cut subsidies to Planned Parenthood. I mean, I just think that he says contradictory things.
Okay. You, of course, would vote for Trump in a heartbeat.
In a second.
In a second. And you'll get a hat, and you'll be wearing it.
I'm getting a hat.
But there is some truth to what Powers is saying, that Mr. Trump does change his positions. So you might be voting for someone that, when he gets in there, he's not exactly known.
That is a true statement, except right now I would say the vast majority of his supporters don't care.
But I'm talking about you, Monica Crowley, who has a Ph.D.
Of course I care about positions and policy. Right, but I'm saying at this moment in the campaign, most people don't care because
But you are supporting Trump. You would vote for Trump.
I'm not endorsing anybody.
No, but you would vote for him.
I'm appreciative of the movement. I have huge respect for what he's doing out there because his appeal, to answer your question, is attitudinal. It's not ideological. What the American people want, I think, is simple common sense, and they want pride in their country again. The president is a personification of how we want the country to act. Donald Trump gets out there, he pushes back, he slams our enemies, he stands up for himself, he stands up for Americans who are sick and tired of being turned into the enemy in their own country if they don't agree with the left-wing agenda. He is unapologetically championing the country, and people are responding to that.
I think I've been very fair to Trump, but I've also challenged him on a lot of things. Aren't you worried that if he were president and he calls the Chinese leader a midget with a bad suit, hey, you midget with a bad suit, it's China. I mean, aren't you worried that the president would be doing that?
No.
So you think this is just an act?
I think, you know what, the time is very short to rescue this country, Bill. We don't have time for niceties.
All right, so you're not worried about...
If he's the president and calls the Chinese president
a midget, you're okay with it.
I think, you know what, if that's going to change Chinese policy toward the U.S. on trade and the whole range of issues, God bless him.
Do you, Powers, believe that the Republican contenders, the others, will go after Trump as he clearly believes they will tomorrow night?
Well, yes, I think that they will, but obviously there will be a price to pay, right? Because he goes after the people who go after him and not in a very fair way. So, you know, but what I want to say is I think, you know, I'm so alarmed by what Monica just said. You know, this idea that it doesn't really matter what he, you know, it's all attitudinal. And I think if you listen to people, they'll tell you who they are. And he's told us who he is. He says, I'm an entertainer. And we just heard from Republicans. I remember when Barack Obama was running for office about how you don't want to have somebody who just entertains you and makes you feel good.
I have to go.
So why are Republicans doing that now with Trump?
All right, I want to correct the record. I have to go. All right. He does freely admit to being an entertainer, but his main emphasis is that he is a businessman who has built successful franchises and can build the country back. That's his main point. Ladies, thanks very much. Directly ahead, we are seeing perhaps the biggest invasion of Muslims in the history of mankind. Who is at fault? I will tell you. Then later, Gutfeld McGurk with a Republican debate preview. That could be trouble upcoming.